Morning, Matt.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Hey, doing good. I figured a running guy would be up early, so hopefully we didn't wake you up.
No, not at all. Yeah,
All right.
Good to be here.
Did you get out for a 5 a.m. run?
I wish. No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. You guys are about to start another season here, and for those of our audience that doesn't know about the Ocean City program, tell us a little bit about the state of the program now. I guess you guys, what's the winning streak up to in the Cal?
The winning streak is about 62, 63 meets right now.
Wow. In
the Cal. So it goes back to 2008.
And what's been behind all that success?
Well, I think Ocean City I walked into the program already being well established. My predecessor and colleague, Coach Bill Moreland, had coached since about 1979, and the program has had a lot of success over several decades. And so I was fortunate enough to become a coach there and join the staff there and try to keep that tradition and success going.
Yeah, actually, the girls' squad also has a really long winning streak, too. I think it's up in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah, the girls' streak is 5 years long, so they're real close. And I know in the past the girls' team has had some real long winning streaks, so Coach Henry has kept that tradition going. And the past couple of seasons, they've had phenomenal success, the girls. Yeah,
and you've had Devin Grisbaum won the Meet of Champions last year.
That's right.
What is it about Ocean City? Is it just, kids want to run because they live by the boardwalk and it's nice scenery? What can you pinpoint anything in particular?
The scenery is part of it, and it is when you run all the time. It's a lot of athletes grow up in sports, and running is the punishment, and then all of a sudden you're on a team, and running is what you do every day. And so when you're a kid, and you're playing soccer or baseball, you miss the ball, you miss a kick, you run laps around the field,
right?
And then
I've run a few in my day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like so there's this kind of psychological barrier to running that a lot of kids have growing up, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in maybe middle school or high school, and the coach says, "Oh, we're going to do a 10-miler today," and that you might as well be telling some students they're flying to the moon when you tell them that. So it does help to have a lot of variety, and in Ocean City you have the boardwalk, the beach, and some of the quieter streets, and so that does give you a little more flexibility as a coach. In some campuses, they have a closed campus, and you're not really allowed to run on busy roads, so it does limit you where you can run a lot. So I think it is a home field advantage for Ocean City to have a lot of beautiful places to run.
Quick story here for you, Coach. College baseball, Pfeiffer University. The coach, the day before, we had about 15 balls go over the fence in batting practice. We didn't pick them up. It rained that night, so the coach was out more than a dozen baseballs. And we walk into practice the next day, and he's just sitting there in the dugout. He's like, "You don't need your cleats today, boys." And we're like, "Why not?" He says, just start running. We're like, "Okay." We ran around the field for about 2 hours. I had to be at about 7 miles. And I was thinking to myself, this is why I didn't join the cross-country team in high school.
That's right. That's right.
What kind of mentality does it take to be a really good high school cross-country runner?
Well, that's a great question. One of the first things, I think you have to have a little bit of a sense of faith in the coaches and your captains and the runners that have gone before you, because when you're putting in the miles and the training, it's very easy to say, "What am I doing this for?" It's hot out, it's long, nobody even knows I do this, it doesn't get a lot of recognition, and what the heck am I putting myself through this torture for? But when it comes down to racing and being in that exciting environment of a race, I don't think there's many things that beat the excitement of a great cross-country race, and that's the payoff, and that's what you put in the miles for.
Who should we be looking at this year to lead the Ocean City squad?
We're pretty fortunate this year. We have a good group of varsity-level runners back from last year. We're one of our more experienced teams. We had a real big junior class last year, and we bring back over 11 seniors this year. So about a third of our squad is seniors this year. So a lot of experienced racers, any number of guys that will break into that top seven. We actually like to see kind of a revolving door in the top seven, just in the sense that it keeps things competitive. So there's a good number of names that will fill that squad out.
Anybody in particular from some other schools around here, like in the CapeAtlantic League, we should be keeping our eye on?
Yeah, there's always great talent, and what I always think the CapeAtlantic League is one of the premier track and field conferences in New Jersey. You see that when you go to the state championships, and so that level of competitiveness and quality carries over into cross country. And there's last year we had an incredible rivalry with Middle Township, and we ended up coming up short in both the county and the Cal meet. And we had a nice streak going at the county meet, and that was really a testament to Middle working very hard. I think Middle had their eyes on us for a couple of years, and their guys really worked hard, and their coach, Ed Letts, worked really hard for that championship last year. So our guys are hungry this year. They didn't like that feeling of leaving the county meet, leaving the Cal meet. We always have a great rivalry with Pleasantville. Coach Laws at Pleasantville every year, who have been a premier team in the National Conference for many years. And in the American Conference, there's always great teams. I know we have Absegami on Tuesday. They have two very top-tier runners, and next week EHT, who are always a real battle. And later in the season, Millville, Mainland, and they're always very good teams.
Talking with head coach Matt Purdue from the Ocean City Boys cross country team. Coach, a couple minutes here before we go to break. Wanted to kind of get into the bowl a little bit. Tell our listeners about the bowl and just the mental hurdle it is up there at Holmdel Park to get through that race. A lot of these late season races are up there, groups and meet of champions and all that stuff. What's that course like to run for these kids, and how difficult is it to master that course?
Sure. The Holmdel Park has been the site of the state championships and the meet of champions since the early 1970s. So it has 40-plus years of tradition. I tell the guys all the time that when you in the cross-country world say your Holmdel time, even college coaches throughout the country know what that means. It's a
really?
well-known course. Yeah, if you ask any top cross-country coach in college, and they'll say first time you meet them, they'll say, hey, what's your Holmdel time? Because that's the parameter for measuring success. And it's a challenging course. Most coaches probably ran it at some point in their lives, so they know it. I've always thought, I look at Holmdel a little more different than other coaches. Of the 3.1 miles, the middle mile is the bowl, and it's basically a very rapid downhill into this big open field, and then a very steep uphill. So basically, at the 1.5 mile mark, you're faced with this half mile uphill. And it's right in the middle of the race, and it really, what it does is a lot of runners, it finishes off their legs. Your legs become very wobbly after doing that. So it's something you have to train for. It's something you couldn't go there if you're a flat runner all the time, flat terrain runner, and you show up at Holmdel for the state meet and you haven't done any kind of hill training, you're going to find it very difficult.
Yeah, you're going to get smoked.
So, yeah, and you'll see the teams that have perennially run well at Holmdel Park usually are teams that train in the hills very often.
Well, it's funny. I was doing a little bit of research on cross country yesterday, and you see the top 5 teams in both girls and boys, and it's all these, Western North Jersey teams like Hillsborough and Ridge. I guess they have kind of an advantage. They got some hilly terrain up there to train on. They
do, and it's something you try to simulate the best you can. Here in South Jersey, obviously, a lot of natural hills, so we do use the 9th Street Bridge, the pedestrian runway there, and you try to simulate the uphill. It does use totally different muscles in your legs when you're running uphill, and so you have to constantly train at it. And a lot of teams will try to get up to Holmdel to practice the course a couple times a season.
Have you guys gotten up there yet this year?
We've been up there once. We try to get up there at least once for practice, and then some of the guys go up with their parents on their own. And they have running groups that run throughout. I mean, any day you go to Holmdel, there's going to be cross-country teams there every day of the year. You'll always see teams running Holmdel. Even in the dead of winter, there's guys out there running, and it's kind of a running mecca in New Jersey.
What's the reaction of some of the freshmen and sophomores when they go up there for the first time and they come into that, like you said, that uphill climb there in the last mile?
Yeah. Well, the tricky part is the first half mile is also uphill, and if you're like a typical first-year or second-year runner, you kind of dart out at the beginning of the race, and you'll find yourself after that first half mile incredibly winded and probably unable to really ever recover your breath. And so the trick of Holmdel is really having breathing control after that first half mile and doing some things to get your rhythm back after probably being very winded after the first half mile. But they hear the stories, and I tell the guys up front, I said, listen, this is going to be painful no matter how you slice it. You might as well just accept that now. Your body's going to say, why are you doing this to me? You know, this is a painful place to run. But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it, and you make it like a fun challenge, and they get excited about it.
We're talking with Matt Purdue, head coach of the Ocean City boys cross country team. Real quick before we let you go, Coach, is there any particular types of strategies you can use at Holmdel Park, and what's kind of your advice to your boys when they go up there late in the season?
Well, one of the strategies, I think, when you analyze the really successful runners, and we've had a handful of runners that have broken 16 minutes there. We've had a couple state champions from Ocean City. So I tell the guys, I said, we have guys that have done the same training and the same workouts and ran at Ocean City in a relatively flat place, go up to Holmdel Park and win the state championship. We had Devin last year win the Meet of Champions. And so it can be done, and that's important that you don't buy into, oh, we're from South Jersey, we don't run hills. That concept never enters their mind. But we talk a lot about pacing at Holmdel. I emphasize getting a good trajectory position on the course because the first 400 meters, it funnels into a very narrow trail. So typical state meet, you have 140 runners on the line. If you're not in that top 40, it's very unlikely that you're going to break into the top 40 during the race. So you really have to get a good position early on, and then you have to hold it. And so there is a lot of strategy behind running there, and it's not a course that you could really make up law in the race because of the narrow nature of some of the trails.
All right, good stuff, Coach. We'll let you get going. Thanks for hopping on board, and we'll be catching up with you throughout the season.
Sure, Dave. Thank you, and have a great day. Have a happy Labor Day weekend.
All right, you too. Thanks, Coach.
Take care.
That's Coach Matt Purdue of the Ocean City boys cross country team.